Hello, welcome to another video from EarnPed.com. I'm Stevie B, happy to have you all with me today. We are here on Next Island. We are here at the Sifferton Gardens teleporter, and today we want to talk about something very, very special, and I have to give a big round of applause to the Next Island development team. This is one of the best mission chains they've come up with. It's one of the best in-game items they've come up with. It's one of the best opportunities for players of all skill levels that they have come up with, and they have done a tremendous job doing it. So let's get right into it. We're going to come inside here, inside Sifferton Gardens, and this is the NPC we want to talk to. I call her Edme. That's probably pronouncing it wrong, but let's talk to her. Let's go through the dialogue first, and then once we've gone through the dialogue, we will talk about everything else that goes with it, because this is super important, and I cannot stress enough how much I appreciate the Next Island development team coming up with this, doing it, and making it something that's available for us. It really shows all the hard work they've been putting in. So we're going to talk to Edme. What are you doing up here? This is New Elysian Orderland. I was just, exploring. And yes, you pesky loyalists are always wandering around. One can only hope some accident befalls you. Although what? Well, we do have a need for some lower life forms, calling us a lower life form, to engage in some menial labor. Perhaps I can find some use for you. What a ringing endorsement of my skills and abilities. What do you need? We have been, as per the usual, inventing new methods to drastically increase the current protection available on this planet. And our most decorated engineer, Philo Amadis, has just discovered a new way to craft armor plates utilizing nanotech and some other things likely far above your pay grade. Well, that's very good. The creatures here are tough, and better armor is a necessity. Quite. Cretan, I've not finished. With our many projects, we do have the time to go and do the menial task of collecting the necessary components on this planet. We could, however, engage the service of the lessers, us, to accomplish the grinding task needed to gather the materials we need. You will do just fine. Well, what's in it for me? I'm not in the habit of being insulted and then working for free. Oh, you impudent insect. Very well, I suppose we can bestow upon you some test plates as you bring us materials. The locations, collection methods, and the time you spend gathering is more than worth a few advanced plates from us, although I suspect you won't even properly utilize them. Choose the upgrade you want, and we will see if you qualify for the plate. I will graciously grant you for it. Alright, let's see what this is all about. Okay, so that is a long way of saying that Next Island has created the best plate upgrade system I have seen, and by far the best one in-game, and I'll explain why later in the video. So when we get to the end, this part is very important, because there's been some controversy, some people misunderstood, didn't understand, the wording wasn't clear, but this is very important. Make your choice. Be aware that the upgraded plate will have a 0 TT value. So when you come to upgrade your incision plates, you have to turn in a full TT incision plate. You will receive back the upgraded plate, but it will have 0 TT. That is extremely important, and there are people who were complaining about this. Guys, don't complain about it. You'll see why later in the video, but don't complain about it. That is awesome. I hope they leave it just like it is. I am more than happy to turn in full TT plates and get back 0 TT plates. I am more than happy with that. So I think this is a perfect system so far. They do not need to mess with it at all. To the Next Island development team, please leave it exactly how it is. Now I can choose which one I want to turn in. Notice there's a chain. Adjusted, then improved, then modified, then augmented, then perfected, with each one being better than the one before. So if I want an augmented plate, I have to turn in a mod plate, plus the materials needed to create the augmented plate. So I would give a full, if I wanted an augmented plate, I would give them a modified plate at full TT, plus the materials that I need to turn in to upgrade it to augmented, and then I would get back a 0 TT augmented plate. So to show you what that would look like, let's say I wanted an augmented plate. I would need to turn in 400 Lesser Elysia, 300 Crystalline Core, some Animal Kidney Oil, some Elysia Tech Chips, some Onyx, some Zinesite Crystal. All that doesn't really matter. Forget all that, because that is minuscule. The important part is down here at the bottom. one Incision plate modified, which would have to be full TT, and one Neoweave augmented. Neoweave is going to be the important part. We'll get to that in a second. And again, that Incision plate modified would have to be full TT. I would turn all this in. I would get back a 0 TT augmented plate, which is better. It's upgraded. So I'm fine getting rid of that TT value, losing out on that. So how do we go about doing this? Well, the very first thing that we need to do is we need to loot these. These are default Incision plates, unlimited, obviously, and the protections on them are pretty low. 4 cut protection, 4 impact protection, and 21 stab protection. So low protections, but not useless. These are the 3 primary damage types that mobs do. Notice there's no special damage types that it protects against, so there's no electric or acid damage or anything like that. It's just your basic cut, impact, stab, which is usually the damage type we need to protect against. So the protections are 4, 4, and 21, and durability set at 900. That's it. There's nothing special about it. And right now the markup on these is pretty low, about 7 ped markup per plate. And notice that there's been 1.2 thousand plates sell this year, not TT value, 1.2 thousand plates. 1,188 plates actually, to be specific. So, needless to say, there's demand for these. Where do we get these? Well, the plates themselves drop from boar. You can get the basic plate that I just showed you, the default Incision plate, from Sand Boar, which is a single maturity 2400 HP mob, Mountain Boar, Village Boar, Wild Boar, or Mutant Boar. Those are your options. Now, I don't offhand know the HP of Mountain Boar, Village Boar, Wild Boar, and Mutant Boar, but I got several off of Sand Boar, and I didn't have to do that many Sand Boar to get them. And people have been getting them off Mountain Boar, Village Boar, Wild Boar, and Mutant Boar pretty regularly. So they are really not that hard to get your hands on when it comes to the default plate itself. Where you have the problem, we're going to put the plate over here to the side for a second, is in order to upgrade it, you need one of these things. This is called a sinew. Now, the word advanced is going to be in front of the word sinew in every single version. What you're looking at is this last word after sinew. This is the adjusted sinew. So guess which type of plate this would go with? That's right, the adjusted plate. A modified sinew would be to make the modified plate, an augmented sinew would make an augmented plate, a perfected sinew would make a perfected plate. These are rare loots. Now, the adjusted sinew, which is the first step in the upgrade process, drops from Chimera. And this is why I said the EIR MK1 FAP mission to get the blueprint to make those new limited FAPs. This is why I love that very first one that they did for the weekly mission for killing Chimera, because this adjusted sinew is a rare loot from Chimera. In fact, I made this video a while back. I just made a different version of it and never published it. And no more did I stop recording, and I was actually hunting Chimera, and as soon as I stopped recording, I hit a rare item HOF and got an adjusted sinew. So this is the first thing you need. This is the hard part, is getting these sinews. And these sinews have tremendous markup. Now, the adjusted ones have lower markup, only about 1,500% at the moment. But when you get to the higher end sinews, like the augmented have something like 12,000% markup. In fact, I made a video a while back where somebody made the mistake of putting 2 or 3 augmented sinews on auction on Planet Calypso, and that auction ended on like a Sunday morning, and it was a very short duration auction, and they set the buyout really high, but they didn't set a starting bid on it, and the person who got those sinews that day got them for next to nothing. I think they paid like 1,200% markup, whereas the true markup on an augmented sinew is closer to 12,000% markup. And on the perfected sinews, I can't even imagine what the markup is on those at the moment. Now, do I expect these markups to come down over time? Yes, because these sinews will continue to drop over time. However, they're still going to have a good bit of markup because of what they do to these plates once you upgrade them. We'll get to that in a minute. So once you have your default Incision plate, and once you're able to start looting your sinews, then you also need something called Fullerenes. And you can get these from killing Portal Guardians. And if you've seen my other videos, you know that there's actually a daily mission called Daily Maybe that you can get at Carnival Island that has you killing Portal Guardians. And as you kill those Portal Guardians, you'll loot these, which you need these. And these are very, very easy to get. I do believe they have some small amount of demand, some small amount of markup. So yeah, notice the Fullerenes have markup of about 800 to 750 to 1,000% markup. And notice there's been about 250 PED worth of Fullerenes sold this year. So decent markup, decent demand, because a lot of people that go through the trouble of getting the sinew go through all that trouble to get the sinew. They're really not interested in spending hours on end to get the Fullerenes to go with it. So the reason you need the Fullerenes is once you have the sinew and the Fullerenes, you can put them into a refiner and you can create what is called a Neoweave. Now, to get a Neoweave, you need, if you're getting the adjusted Neoweave to make an adjusted plate, you need 1 advanced sinew adjusted, which would be what we have here, and then you would need 10 Fullerenes, which would be what we have here. You would put them into a refiner and you would get Neoweave adjusted. For Neoweave improved, you would need 1 advanced sinew improved and 20 Fullerenes. For Neoweave modified, you would need 1 advanced sinew modified and 30 Fullerenes. For Neoweave augmented, you would need 1 advanced sinew augmented and 40 Fullerenes. And then for Neoweave perfected, you would need 1 advanced sinew perfected and 50 Fullerenes. Again, the advanced sinew adjusted, improved, modified, augmented, or perfected is the very hard part to get, the very expensive part. So this part here, the sinew, is the hard part to get. You just have to add the sinew with the proper amount of Fullerenes into a refiner, and then it spits out this. So these two right here, when combined, the sinew and the Fullerenes together, when refined together, spit out this. This is a Neoweave. It just looks like a weird nanotech cloth. And if we click here, unimaginably strong, this material is slowly created by the advanced engineers of the New Elysian Order, which is one of the factions here on Next Island, and it's currently unmatched in its protective capabilities. Cool. So now we've taken our sinew, we've taken our Fullerenes, we've combined them into a refiner, and bada bing bada boom, is spit out this Neoweave. We have our incision plate default over here, we have our default Neoweave adjusted over here. So now what do? Well, now we come back to this NPC here at Silverton Gardens. We come back to Edme. We go through the entire mission dialogue again. We just click through it all relentlessly because we've already read through it once. And now we would be starting off at the very bottom of this upgrade chain. We would start here with the adjusted incision plate. We would click on that. It would bring this up. We would open our inventory and we would put all this stuff in there. The Lesser Elysia, the crystalline core, the muscle oil, the tech chips, blah, blah, blah. And then once we got down here to the important part, we would add in our Neoweave adjusted and our incision plate. And we would hit go. Now, remember, the incision plate would have to be full TT. We would hit go. And all this would be consumed. That TT value would be lost. And we would get back a 0 TT default incision plate adjusted. Now, if we look at the stats on this, notice that the protections have increased. Previously, the protections were 4421. Now they've increased to 5523. The durability was 900. Now it's 1400. But now look at what it says. Effects when equipped. Increased damage block chance by 1%. That is huge. That means if a mob was going to hit you 100 times, now it's only going to hit you 99. That makes a massive difference to your armor decay and your fapping costs over a period of years. That is a huge, huge difference, and that's just for the adjusted plate. Now do you see why these are so valuable? Now do you see why this is such an important mission? And notice these plates are going for about 200 to 250 pet apiece, and that's just for the adjusted plates. These things get ridiculously valuable and ridiculously expensive very, very quickly. Now, as you go up the ladder, the protections continue to increase, but more importantly, every time you upgrade, this increased damage block chance increases by 1. So for an improved, there's a 2% block chance. For a modified, there's a 3% block chance. For a augmented plate, it has a 4% block chance, and a perfected plate maxes it out at a 5% block chance, meaning that if a mob was going to hit you 100 times, now it's only going to hit you 95. That is a huge, huge difference. That is a complete game changer. Now, in addition, every time you upgrade, the stats upgrade also. So on the improved plate, the protections are 6,625, durability 1800, and that comes with the 2% block chance. For the mod plate, the protections are 7,727 with durability of 2200 and 3% block chance. For the augmented, the protections are 8.5, 8.5, 30 with durability 2600. And for the Big Daddy, the perfected plate, the protections are 10 cut, 10 impact, 33 stab, which are great protections. Durability 3500 and that full 5% increased block chance. Now do you see why these are so ridiculously valuable? Now before moving on, let's talk about where you can get these sinews. The Advanced Sinew Adjusted, as I've said, drops from Chimera. The Advanced Sinew Improved drops from Myrinian, M-Y-R-I-N-I-A-N, Myrinian. Can't pronounce half these names. The Advanced Sinew Modified, the third step in the process, drops from Daudermore, D-A-U-D-A-O-R-M-U-R, Daudermore, the big snake, the big Greek snake-looking thing. The Augmented Sinew drops from Centaur, and the Advanced Sinew Perfected drops from Boss Drakes. So Tempest, Flametongue, Necrosis, and Chillwing, the Boss Drakes, which is why the Perfected Sinews are so incredibly hard to find. Now, that being said, I think this is one of the best missions and upgrade chains that the Next Island development team has come up with, not just because of the utility of the plates, not just because of the protections, the durability, and the block chance, but because of the way the mission itself functions. Almost all the planets, with the exceptions of Entropia and I believe Tulun, now have some version of this block chance armor plate system. On planet Calypso, it is with the 5B plates, and the mission takes place on Crystal Palace. With Arcadia, it's with their new instance at Arcadia Moon. With Cyrene, it's with the Imperium plates. And here on Next Island, it's with these Incision plates. Now, there's also the Serpent plates on Ancient Greece, which have kind of the same system set up, but the way the system functions is different. The way the upgrade functions is different. So here's why I am a huge fan of the way Next Island has set it up, and here's why I am fine turning in a full TT plate to get back a 0 TT plate. First of all, the cost of these sinews is extraordinarily high because these sinews that you need to make these are exceedingly rare loots. So it's going to be hard enough just to go out and farm these sinews, or to reach in your pocket, pull out that Visa card, and just pay PED to get your hands on the sinews. But the utility is great because of that block chance. The biggest difference between the plates when you're looking at different plates across different planets that all have this upgradable block chance capability is they offer different protections. This plate, the Incision plate, focuses on the 3 primary damage types that mobs do: cut, impact, and stab. It doesn't say anything about electric or acid or any of that. So there's no special attack protections in here. It's just a very basic set of protections, which is great because that makes this a well-rounded plate for well-rounded armor for well-rounded hunting. But that block chance is very, very valuable over time because it saves you on armor decay and fapping. But what I love about this mission is we don't have to do anything special other than go out and get our hands on the sinews, create the Neoweave, and just come turn it in. And yes, we lose that full TT value and get back a 0 TT plate, but I'm fine with that because it's just another cost on top of the cost of looting the sinew or purchasing it to begin with. And these things have such utility and such markup that small amount of TT lost is a no-brainer for me. I'm fine with it. I would rather have the upgraded protection, the upgraded block chance, and the upgraded demand, and therefore upgraded markup that comes with the next best plate. This is in stark contrast to something like the new Arcadia Moon instance. You have to go through a horrendous chain of events just to get into this new Arcadia Moon instance. Then you have to pay a fee every time you want to get into that instance. And then once you're in, there's 5 different levels of that instance. The lowest level creatures are the ones that are going to drop the stuff you need for the adjusted plate, their version of the step 1. The highest level creatures in the level 5 instance are what are going to drop the perfected stuff for their version of the perfected plate. And those creatures are level 100 plus-ish from what I'm being told. Virtually impossible for us mere mortals to ever comprehend going into that instance, much less trying to grind it out for a rare uber loot. So the cost of doing the version of this mission on Arcadia Moon is prohibitively expensive. However, those plates have slightly different protection types, and personally, I think they hit it on the head with this mission chain because they give us the 3 primary protection types that we need from the vast majority of mobs, the 3 base protections. But that is why these plates will have their version of demand and markup, and those plates will have their version of demand and markup. Now, this is different yet from the way that it works on Calypso with the Crystal Palace plate upgrade mission for the 5B plates. The 5B plate mission is horrendous because A, you have to go to Crystal Palace, complete a mission, get into caves, loot an uber rare loot from an uber high level boss, and then on top of that, every time you want to upgrade, you have to turn in 2 of the previous plate. I would rather lose the TT value and turn in a full TT plate and get back a 0 TT plate than have to do all of this twice. And this is the problem with the armor upgrade mission chain on DSEC 9. I would love to complete a perfected set of armor. I talked earlier today to the person who has the most advanced armor set when it comes to DSEC 9 armor in-game. He has grinded it out the entire way. The problem is, to get the adjusted armor, he had to turn in 2 regular pieces. To get the improved armor, he had to turn in 2 adjusted pieces. To get the modified armor, he had to turn in 2 improved pieces. Now to get the augmented armor, he's having to turn in 2 modified pieces. And to get perfected, he would have to turn in 2 augmented pieces. So to go all the way through the mission chain for all 7 armor pieces, you would need over 256 pieces of armor to complete one 7-piece armor set. And you would need something in the area of like 130-ish rare uber loot items in order to complete that mission chain. So I asked him, I said, are you going to go all the way for perfected? Are you going to try and get the first perfected set? He said, absolutely not. I'm stopping at augmented. It's been a nightmare trying to get here. I'm going to leave perfected for somebody with deeper pockets than me and way more time on their hands. And he's been working on that chain for well over a year now. So I am perfectly fine turning in a full TT plate and getting back a 0 TT plate with better protections, better durability, and a better block chance, and not having to deal with something like that. And that's why the 5B plate mission on Calypso has been so problematic over the years, because you have to do everything twice. And the Next Island development team was smart enough to avoid that. They were smart enough to just make this where we can go loot the sinews, buy the sinews, and upgrade our plates, and have an amazing time, have more fun in-game, have more enjoyment out of the game, make it easier to do while still providing great protections, great durability, a great block chance buff, and creating demand and markup. They hit it on the nail across the head. Where Arcadia got it wrong is you have to go through the horrendous problem and prerequisite just to even get into the instance. Cyrene did the same thing. They made it where you have to do all this other prerequisite junk just to try and upgrade your plates. That's on top of getting the Renegade components that you even need to upgrade those plates. So I really give it off, hats off, again, slow clap, the Next Island development team hitting the nail completely on the head with this plate upgrade system. And I understand there was some stress going on because people weren't understanding that you turn in a full TT plate and get back a 0 TT plate. People were upset that they were losing that TT value. Guys, I hope they don't change it. I hope they leave it exactly how it is. I am more than happy to give up the few pet and TT value to get the next best plate than to have to do something like that, than to have to do something like going through all of this twice to turn in 2 of everything, or having to go through some insane prerequisite system just to be able to even do the upgrade. some of those prerequisite systems can take a year or longer to complete. Can you imagine having everything you need to upgrade your plates but not being able to do it for a year? Having to fly back to a planet every single day for a year just to do the prerequisites to be able to upgrade? What a complete nightmare. So the Next Island development team has taken this upgrade plate system, and they've given us a plate with great protections for the great damage types that we're going to need. Again, this is why these plates will hold their value and the other plates will hold their value. They're all going to be difficult to get. The question is how difficult. They're all going to be difficult to upgrade. The question is how difficult. But then they all have different protection types. They all have that block chance that grows as you get closer to perfected, but they have different protection types, so they will protect in different amounts from different mobs, which means that each of these different plate missions for each of the planet partners will hold their value and will have demand and will have market for years to come. So I'm very excited about this mission chain. I cannot wait to end up getting my hands on a perfected set myself. I plan to try and grind it out and create my own plates all the way from default through perfected. It's just going to take a very long time to do. But I hope that's been a complete overview of the Incision plate upgrade chain here on Next Island, and I hope you understand why this is such a better system than what Arcadia has implemented, or what Cyrene has implemented, or what Calypso implemented at Crystal Palace. And we will cover all those mission chains and all those plates in their own videos, in their own playlist for their own planet partner. But today I want to start off by doing the one for Next Island because I think they've done a great job. Aces across the board. They hit it on the head. Even the mobs they picked for the Sinews to drop from were great choices given the missions you can stack with them and the other things you can do while hunting for those Sinews. So hats off to Next Island. A's all across. Still the best planet partner doing the most to make this game a place where people want to come and make Next Island our unofficial home away from Zykion. So big kudos to the Next Island planet partners for this Incision plate upgrade chain. Don't change it. Leave it exactly how it is. I'm more than happy to give up that lost TT value. You guys have done great. Just keep up the great work. You guys are really taking the lead, and the other planet partners are taking a play directly out of y'all's playbook. Keep it up. Keep setting an example. And guys, if you're out there watching, take the time as you get these sinews. Work on upgrading your plates. I promise you, it will make a difference in your fapping cost and your decay over time. Over a week, a month, a year, these plates will change the game entirely. So guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Please head over to earnped.com because when you earn, we earn. It's the best way you can help support us. Use the links on earnped to go to hideout.tv. Hideout will see that you came from earnped and will add us as a redemption option for your hideout points. Now you will need a hideout account as well. You did not used to. However, once you create your hideout account and you use that link on earnped.com to go to hideout.tv, they will see that you came from us and they'll say, hey, they might want to send their points there, and they will just add us as a redemption option for those hideout points. Guys, please head over to YouTube and click those 3 buttons we always talk about, the subscribe and bell icon, because it's free. It takes 1 second and it keeps you up to date with all of our newest content, all of the newest news and goings on in Entropia, and helps you play smarter, not harder. But then it also helps get us on the right side of that YouTube algorithm. And if you guys will do that and then hit that like button on every single video we post, not only will you help us combat the haters that are out there, but that algorithm being on our side, seeing that subscribe and bell icon hit, seeing that like button hit, seeing those comments coming in will then give us more exposure. They will put our videos in front of more people who play PC games, real cash economy games, who are into virtual currencies, and those people will be exposed to our videos. A lot of times it's the very first time they've ever heard of Entropia. But then they start watching the videos, they start watching the channel, they learn how to play smarter, not harder. Next thing you know, they're downloading the game, playing at Icarus or Swamp Camp Twin Peaks, coming out exploring the other parts of the universe, and they start sending us messages. We're getting more messages every week from new players who are coming to this game because they saw the video, and they saw the video because you guys are hitting those buttons for us, because you guys are liking every single video, because you guys are commenting, because you guys are subscribing to the channel, because you guys are getting us the exposure. So because of you, the economy is growing, the community is growing. Because of you, people who were frustrated that would have quit are seeing these videos and they're staying. Because of you, old players are seeing the videos and coming back to Entropia and finding a new love for it they didn't have the first time. So please keep it up. It's supporting us, but it's supporting the game and the community, and it's making a huge difference. We really appreciate it, guys. I'll leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Take care, Stevies.